CEO and co-founder of Tangoo, and part-time contributor and business development manager at Van City Buzz, where he has helped the founding team grow readership 16 times since 2012. They're exploding, as I quote. He recently graduated from the Sauder School of Business as a marketing co-op and international business grad, and Paul commits most of his time as the CEO of Tangoo. And I don't want to tell what Tangoo is. I think you just should do it. But Tangoo, okay, well, Tangoo is a pocket concierge application that matches your mood and social occasion to a seamlessly planned night of curated restaurants and venues. And we're actually going to be kind of using the web app tonight. So
for dinner.
For dinner, yes. You know, awesome. Yeah, the Tangoo name actually might ring a bell. It's been featured on media outlets before it's really even available to the public. CTV, Global TV, CBC Radio, Globe and Mail, and 25 other media publications.
So to clarify, that was it was actually a different start on the last year. We did a pivot last August. I'll try and talk about the story of that. But yeah, no, we weren't on 25 publications. We had something very different. Yeah.
All I got was yeah. Awesome. And yeah, so Paul spends most of his time outside of work mentoring new entrepreneurs and students through speaking engagements and coaching coaching case competitions. So without any further ado, share your story with us, Paul.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Awesome. Well, anyways, I'm stoked to be here. Hard to follow up those acts. I'm 24 and I finished school 2 years ago. Who's still in school? Who's a first-time entrepreneur? Who's looking to be a first-time entrepreneur? Sweet. Okay. I'm going to give you a bit of my background just to give context to how I just got into it. It's never really part of my plan. I was born in Mexico and I moved here when I was 4, and I went to UBC. So I took did a BCom there, and I actually didn't start it in commerce. I did arts first year. Yay, arts. I transferred in my second year, and you know, I'm a pretty confident guy, but I got crushed in my second year. And one thing people do is that they kind of beat themselves up before they actually know what they're up against. And I just simply got really overwhelmed my second year. It was crazy. It kind of knocked me off my feet. Probably a good thing, so I could kind of ground myself better. And yeah, second year was a pretty dark period for me. Like, it was the first time I understood what it meant to have that mind to body connection, because I had a lot of anxiety. I really was freaking out. And as one day at the gym, I was like, you know, lifting, and that one day I couldn't lift anything. It was really weird. I thought I was sick, but I realized it was a bit of anxiety. So after a while, I actually had like a lot of anxiety, and I couldn't really do exercise, or it was hard to get out of bed. And like I was like kind of like depressed. It was weird, and you feel it, right? Lucky enough with me, exams came along in December, and you know I had trouble like even getting up to time, so I was like in jeopardy of failing my exams. Would have been pretty bad, right? You get into commerce, you're all excited, and then maybe you're not in commerce, right? Well, luckily I have a very supportive family, friends, and I managed to get out of it, like just in time. I had like 2 weeks where I kind of snapped out of it, studied, did okay in my exams, and off I went. And then I moved into sort of, January of 2009, right? And that's where I knew, man, I've really got to really prove to myself that I can, that I can have more accomplishments. So I had to take a risk. I had to sort of start to believe in myself. I didn't believe in myself. Much as I thought I didn't. So first risk I took is I ran for student government. It was kind of hard to do if you were a transfer student because like no one knew you. You have to go talk in classrooms. It's kind of like, it was uncomfortable, right? But I just went for it, and from there, I ended up winning, which was really cool. And that was the first time I really proved to myself, like, wow, like you just, you can bounce back with something that's, as bad as what I had to suddenly, be the 30 representative in front of 500 students. And that was really kind of an important step for me. After that, I was like, cool, what's the next step now? And I heard about co-ops, I heard about exchanges. I'm like, yay, I definitely want to do that. That sounds really cool, right? Working with a real company and living in Barcelona for 4 months. That sounds sweet. So I did that for actually 16 months. So I did like co-op, exchange, co-op. And my last co-op was in Davidescu in Germany, which is like sweet. I got to have the experience of being abroad and also work at a company, and that was really awesome for me. So after those experiences, I was like, holy crap, I can go to like any weird random environment and not speak the language, and you just manage to just get through it. It's like before you go, you're like, it's gonna be weird. But then you just do it, and you're like, wow, this is pattern, and I just go and do things, and things just, they happen, they're actually okay in the end. So I came back in 2011, and this is when the dust was settling, also a year after the Olympics. Who's around for the Olympics? Who thought it was awesome? Yeah. Who went to the gold medal game? Nice. Awesome. So I came back, and then it's funny because I walked by the cauldron over the waterfront on February 12th, 2011. This was exactly a year after the Olympics. You know, they had a sort of like ceremony about the Olympics and how awesome they were. Walked by, really nice ceremony. They lit the cauldron, and Mayor Robertson was speaking, and John Furlong. And the one thing that bummed me out is that like they weren't being very progressive about it. They were talking about how great of an experience it was, and how great it was for a city. But then it was like the whole attitude of like, oh man, it's gonna be the best. That was the best time ever, and I hope we get the Olympics again. Like they weren't really thinking of like, well, what now? It's gonna move back to being what some people call the no fun city Vancouver, which I don't agree with, but to some degree, you know, there's some things we can improve on. And those Olympics were amazing. Every night you went out, it was just like, this is going to be the night. Everything was perfect, right? So I said, well, you know, one thing that is really kind of my personal cause is I love to go out. I love to have social occasions. I find that my why for going out is because it's the only time you can really connect with people, you know, meet new people, connect with, you know, your girlfriend or friends, or even take someone out for business. Like those social occasions are really important. I realized that, you know, unlike the Olympics or Barcelona, going to Vancouver kind of sucked. You know, it takes a lot of time. And who here has to wait in line sometimes and he doesn't like it? To be honest. Who here has the back and forth with your friends? What should we do tonight? I don't know. What do you feel like? 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 And then you go to Cactus Club. Nothing against it. That's just what happens. Nothing against Cactus, but like, there's more stuff out there, right? And then there's the idea of you show up, there's no reservations, and you know, there's a lot of logistical things that just make your nights kind of suck, unfortunately. And you spend a lot of money, you're out late, you feel like you got robbed, and I didn't like that. So I wanted to be like, well, man, you know what? I think there's a better way to do it. And that was my initial push. Like, I just want to solve that. I want to sort of bring back that magic of what I felt in the Olympics in Barcelona and somehow infuse it into your night. So I thought of like what made a perfect night out, and I got some friends together. I'm like, let's just go and do this. Let's actually try to manufacture a night where every single time that you go out, you know it's going to be exactly what you want. The spontaneous type. You don't wait in line. You meet people, like the ones that like you get once in a blue moon. But I want it every time you go. Selfish maybe, but I think it's possible. So at that time, Van City Buzz was just starting. Who here reads Van City Buzz? If you don't read Van City Buzz, you gotta get with it. It's huge. They're an online publication talks about everything in Vancouver. They were just sort of starting, and they also said, well, hey, we want to make Vancouver more exciting. And you know, they knew that after the whole Olympic hangover, they're like, oh, we gotta make something fun. They said, Paul, can you do something to make the city more fun? I'm like, I think I can. I think I have an idea. It was me and a buddy, Henry, at Sodom, and we just sat down and said, how can we recreate these perfect outings? And eventually, we created something called the Restaurant Cocktail. Made up word, but we didn't want to call it cocktail. Basically, what it was is the idea that, you know, in a perfect night, you usually go to dinner, and you go to like dessert, and then you hop around to like bars and clubs, and depending on kind of, you know, what your style is, and you usually move around. So we created this night where you paid a flat fee. It was $60, and the idea is that we would curate restaurants and venues that we thought were, you know, new, but also like a safe bet, and they were like a good spot. And we kind of planned that for you. We actually went from appetizers to dinner to dessert. It was a progressive dinner, kind of like down in Vancouver, but imagine it happened all year round. And it was more social. So the idea is that you walk into a restaurant, there'd be 30 other people, you'd sit at the same table, it'd all be reserved for you. You pay before, right? So you could just show up and leave after. No splitting bills, and then every place you went to, you'd be sitting next to someone new, you connect with people. Everything was so easy. It just flowed, and it was awesome. And we're like, let's do this. So much like the Slow Jam Sundays crew from last night, who saw them? Yeah, they were pretty cool. They started very grassroots. They basically were an events company. We had 40 people. We just jammed into Save on Meats actually across the street at Mark Grant's establishment. He just opened it. 40 people, and we just did an experiment night. And logistically, it was kind of unorganized. People kind of liked it. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, it was really hard to get to that set, but once people were like, that's kind of cool. You can improve it, but it was awesome. We did more of them. So throughout the year we did about 30 of these, and then Van City Buzz hopped on board, and we were just kind of creating these resto cocktail hubs, which, luckily enough for the media, a bit of background on the media, it was nice to have Van City Buzz behind us. They had our launching article. And then eventually Karm, who's one of the co-founders, he had this tweet about Tangoo. And Global TV caught on to it. And they sent us an email like, hey, this sounds really cool. Foodies, making the city more fun. Sweet. Want to be on TV? We're like, oh yeah, sure. Okay. So that was my first time on TV, and you just at this point we're just like, let's just go with it. And it was cool. It was a great experience. And after that, one thing about media is that they all actually rip each other's content. They all look at each other's content, and they always want like that but better. So I got calls from CTV, Global, Shaw, and Sonic, CBC, and a whole bunch of publications. And then suddenly we were rolling. This whole Tangoo thing was just happening. And I was doing it part-time, and then I decided to do this full-time when I finished in 2012, in July. And that's what I did most of the year. Had a great time, built an awesome team. And actually, we were part of the Launch Academy upstairs. They're also kind of like a pre-incubator. And they had something called a demo day. Who's been to demo days? Who knows what they are? So demo days, and actually Craig's part of Launch Academy, so you know all about it. Was basically a day where you get to demo what you're doing. And they had this huge event where they invited like 300 people, and investors, media, other startups, and you had to just pitch what you were doing. And the funny thing is about like big pitches and times you have to really shine and show people what you're doing, high pressure situation, you think really deeply about your business. And we thought to ourselves, this is a great concept, there's a lot of good buzz about it, but like, man, are we actually confident that it's going to make a lot of money and scale? We're like, and after a while, we're like, you know what? No, we're not. It's events. I couldn't do more than 2 a month. It was exhausting, a lot of work. We said, okay, cool. We got a good brand. We have a nice story. How do we get a different vehicle for what we're doing? Right? Can we somehow digitize it? So we thought to ourselves, and we were talking about trends. What are some trends that are happening right now that we can kind of hop on? And then really, what problem are we solving for customers? Was it meeting people, or was it the fact that people don't like the plan and just want to end up somewhere and know that it's going to be good? And we thought it was more the latter. We're helping people find a place that fits their mood, and it's just you can just show up and have peace of mind. That we don't need events. It doesn't have to be with 30 people. In fact, looking at today's trend, it could be on a mobile phone. And one thing we actually noticed with a lot of our customers is they always came at different times with their own people. They always were in a certain mood. Everyone wanted something different. I couldn't make everyone happy. I said, you know what if we just do what we're doing now, but more for you? And that's what we call it Pocket Concierge. So the idea is that now we have an application that we're launching next week, finally, that you can basically tell your mood and your occasion, and it's going to curate some restaurants that best fit that mood. So it's kind of linking your emotions to your environment. And there's no easy way to really do that because the other platforms don't really do it, right? So we launched that, we did that, we did it overnight actually, and we did it on a keynote presentation. People talk about not having to have a full product before you get investment. We did a keynote presentation. Just get the idea across, sell the team, do the 3 Ps as Meredith yesterday, and off you go. So we actually won demo day. It was for us really we didn't think we would win this off the keynote, right? And that was really inspiring. So then we were on a whole new path, right? The same brand, but now we have to sort of switch gears. And since last August till now, we had to rebuild our team, bring on more developers, and sort of go with this new vision. And yeah, we got to do a pitch on Dragon's Den, which is kind of like the demo day, but like on steroids. So that was a whole other level of pitching, which is really cool. It'll be out in the fall, so I can't say what happened. But really the most important part of those things is the journey and the experience. It's about the people that you do it with. So if I can say one thing, it's, put yourself in high pressure situations if you can, because a lot of magical things happen. And I thought that was a really key thing in entrepreneurship. When you're just figuring it out, that these things put you on your edge, right? And yeah, at this point, again, we're like a week away from launching, so we've had all this media attention, and we're not even really launched, funny enough. But yeah, now I'm here, and I'm sort of, still figuring things out. So, unlike the other two entrepreneurs I talked to, like they've figured it out, I'm still figuring it out. But I can, hopefully at least urge you that, like, man, if you have this, this strong personal cause, something that you really want to do, just go and do it, and man, things just happen. And it's, you won't know exactly how, but like, you just gotta do it, because you are capable of a lot more than you think. And even our first year of thinking of the idea, that was a waste of time, because we had a whole year of thinking of our original idea, and then we just did it, and it changed completely. Just go do it, and iterate, and the market will tell you. So anyways, that's my story. So super stoked to be kind of sharing with you guys, and I'm stoked on what you can ask us for the panel and how we can help you get started. And this is all about you, right? So please, extract value from this and ask us whatever, because we have a pretty justified set of